Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show, financial information for today and tomorrow. I am Bobby Kinzer,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FITT Show, helping our people get their finances in shape. Note, this is our 122nd show. We have been dropping a lot of knowledge for a good while now. We're hoping that all you wonderful people have been picking up and just sucking up all that good information that we've been given. And most of all, we hope you have been sharing it with your family and friends, co-workers, and all of those who want to listen. We're here every week and just want to give a disclosure statement. We are not financial advisors. We are financial educators. So we just want to let you know that this information that we provide you is not intended to be used on the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet a particular needs of and on individual situations. So now that we got that clear, just want to make sure y'all do understand that. Dodo, how you doing today?
Man, I am happy to be alive.
Man, that's a good thing to be happy, and it's a good thing to be alive. I heard somebody said they woke up this morning. And now that I'm getting older, I don't even stop there. I woke up and I got up. So I keep adding as the years go on.
That's a good thing.
Last week, we talked about, are you ready for retirement? We hope that was helpful. There's a lot of people on this show that are either near retirement or just entering into retirement. And there's people that's been in retirement. But that information wasn't just for, people getting ready. Because and I hope y'all got what we were saying, even when you're in retirement, it doesn't stop. It takes continually taking a look and taking the time and reviewing and making adjustments if you have to. So we hope that that was a helpful one. But this one, we got a good one. This one, though, I love this term. This is a great term. And this week, we're going to talk about steps to financial independence. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that you all make sure you please click on the like button, because that actually helps us with reaching people, and the heart button. And we like for you to place comments in the comment box. Should you have an opinion on anything we're talking about, or if you have a question about anything we talked about. In addition, if there's a topic that you like for us to address right now, or something, a topic you'd like us to dedicate our show to in a later show, please put that also in the comment box, because that's where we like to make it interactive, because we know that we're talking to you in this 45, 50-minute show that we have, but we like for it to be interactive. So please feel free to put comments in the comment box. With that, though, I want to get into our favorite topic, and I know, I mean, it's just what is it? The odds that it's one of these days you got to tell us something good about the stock market.
Well,
Let's start with that.
It has not been a bad week, even though some bad news came out today. So let's take a look at the update. And as you can see, slow coming up. But as you can see, for the week, the market did pretty good. The Dow's up 500, NASDAQ's up 354. I mean, it's almost 3%. Microsoft up 12. Tesla's down 3, but that's been up and down. Apple's made a good run. It's up 6 points. Pfizer's flat, and NVIDIA's up 22. Remember when NVIDIA dropped down about 410?
Right.
I said, when the market comes back, it's going to come back. And it's definitely come back strong. And the funny thing here is that the overall S&P had like a 4-day run of increases. It's going up 4 days in a row. But then today, an inflation number came out that kind of spooked everybody. And it was the so-called, they call it the core consumer price index, which is everything except for food and energy costs. And last month, it only increased by 0.3%, but it came out today and it went up by 4%. Okay. And so, I'm sorry. Yeah, it went up slightly. And they were expecting it to be at last month's level, but it went up higher than that. And so that kind of spooked everybody to think, well, even if the Fed doesn't raise interest rates, that there's no chance of them lowering them because inflation is still rearing its ugly head. So people are wondering, are the Feds going to raise, not raise, but or just stay put in November, which would be good. But in the back of everybody's mind, they're hoping that the Fed will start lowering interest rates. It just doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon because, again, inflation is still going strong and it's not coming down to where the Fed wants it to be. So we're in for a long ride. There's going to be good days and bad days. This just so happened to be a good week. Even today, I mean, the Dow dropped 173 points just today, but at some points of the day, it was down almost 300-400 points. So there's still a lot of optimism, but bad news like today kind of sets everything back. So don't expect interest rates to be going down anytime soon. So that's where we are.
Yeah, that is the message, though. Don't be expecting. But the interest rates on home mortgages went up.
Yeah, you wonder if people will start going back to ARMs because when the interest rate got real low, they kind of went out of favor. What was no use taking an adjustable when you can get 2-3%, right? But now, with mortgage rates inching toward 8%, they got some ARMs out there that are adjustable rate mortgages. That's what ARMs stand for. They got some of them out there at like 6%. So that might get some people interested. But man, 6% still seems high to me. So we'll see what that does.
Well, with the interest rates going up on mortgages, though, but yet home sales is like a low inventory because interest rates are going up. It's spooking people into wanting to move, or move up to another higher house cost.
Right.
But they're kind of spooked. So the inventory for existing houses are low. But I'm in Bowie, Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland, which is now the second most, used to be the number one per capita income for Black people. I'm seeing now, man, every day I'm getting 9, 10 houses in my area in Bowie, meaning, which is a big area. By the way, you all, Prince George's County is over 3 million people. It's almost the size of Washington, D.C. So they sort of like saying, y'all not like no suburban, y'all getting almost urban. So, but there's a lot of land in Prince George's County as opposed to Montgomery County, which is the Silver Spring area and Columbia, with a lot of people in Maryland, but the land is scarce. But they really building out here, and a lot of homes are going up for sale in my neighborhood, though. And I'm seeing looking like it's a seller's market right now, which you would think would be the opposite.
Here, housing, my house is up about 70% in value since I moved, here. But the issue is, whatever you get out of it, gonna have to pay it to move somewhere else. So it's not
right. You're going to end up, having to step up, right?
Right.
That's really interesting.
Crazy times, man.
Crazy times, really crazy times, though. I'm talking about the top financial advisors are, have issues with trying to project and forecast. So let's talk about cryptocurrency, though. Cryptocurrency is down. It's down by 38 billion total market cap, but it's still at $1 trillion. But at one time, it was at $2 trillion about 2 years ago. Bitcoin had been going up each week about, I think it was about $400 each week. The last 2 weeks, it dropped by $736, about 3%. It's now at $26,726 per Bitcoin. So it seems like the whole market been taking a hit. Ethereum took a hit, and which we used to have Shiba Inu, which was the meme cryptocurrency, meaning like a picture or like a baseball card type of cryptocurrency. It dropped down to number 19, and I don't know if it's coming back no time soon. So we dropped it off our list, and we got the top 10. So what we placed that was Solana, which the symbol is SOL, and it's number 8, and it sells at $21.29. It's just down 3 cents, but that's been doing pretty good. So that's in the number 8 position. And the Dogecoin dropped down by 1 penny. Poor Elon Musk and Mark Cuban, they didn't do any justice for the Dogecoin. So that's the cryptocurrency market, though. As we say, only invest money that you can afford to lose, and it's all about the long play.
Yeah, and that's for sure. But any chance you'll be selling your house and moving someplace more?
Well, though, I just advised my wonderful wife, Tiffany, the other day. I told her, you see that top left corner in the backyard? That's where I want you to bury my urn. So no, dude, I'm not leaving no time soon. I plan to be buried in the top left corner of my yard to save money. So the answer is no.
That's funny.
So dope, man, let's talk about financial independence.
Yeah, man, this is a great topic. We saw the article, we discussed it, and it just makes so much sense. And I think we were, I don't want to say we were heading down the wrong path, but sometimes we try to simplify financial, just dealing with your financial situation, and that's fine when you are just starting or you're just getting going, you don't make a lot of money, but this guy just really took it to another level. And if you're trying to build wealth, it takes kind of a step up in effort, thought, and processes. And it kind of gets past just the simple stuff. And a lot of things that we talk about sometimes are one size fits all, but they're really building blocks and basics. And those are things you can do and anybody can do in any kind of situation. But if you really want to step your game up and become financially independent, then you really have to take it to another level, because one size fits all definitely does not work. And you get advice from everybody. You can open any link on the internet. You can get somebody else's opinion, show your family and giving you their opinion. And some of it may sound interesting and be good, but as Bob said earlier in the show, nobody knows your particular situation. And it's really key to have a program that's tailored around your goals and what you're trying to do. And so that's why oftentimes a lot of goals people have lack the depth and long-term vision, because they didn't put that level of effort or the amount of effort that really is involved in building wealth. And so like a lot of things people have done in the past that everybody used to think were great ideas. Look at all the folks who paid off their mortgages, and which is great. I mean, and again, this is individual things, and people are happy not having the debt or paying that bill every month. But I mean, right now, would you want to have a 2.5% mortgage and have that money that you used to pay the mortgage off? You can put that in a CD at no risk and get 5.5%. So that's 3% you're making by doing nothing. Okay, but everybody always thought pay your mortgage off. Maxing out 401ks was another thing that everybody thought that's what you should do. You should max it out. Well, can lead to issues down the line. You can end up with a huge tax bill that you got to deal with, as that money has probably grown much faster than you thought it would grow. So you could be stuck with a bill down the road. So that's what made this article so interesting, is that, again, it says these are things you've all believed and all thought were good. And in and of themselves, they are good. But you got to make it work for your own particular situation.
And this article, once again, is from Kiplinger, and which is it's a wealth of information to you all. So we advise that y'all go out there and check it out if you're looking for some more information about handling your finances. Now, you may have heard, or you may not have heard, of the FIRE movement. FIRE is an acronym which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. That's the term that a lot of financial planners and investment advisors are using, that strategy. And financial independence is a good target to aim for. After all, saving money, spending less, and investing well for your goals and time frame are always good things. But what is the definition of financial independence? Now, for many people, defining financial independence is personal. Like Doe said, it's no one size fit all. Now, you might consider yourself set if you manage to pay down all of the outstanding debts, or you may want you may or you won't feel you're financial independent until you hit the lottery. Like yesterday, it was at $1.7 billion. And I had a ticket, though, and I didn't win. But Wikipedia's definition of financial independence is a state where an individual or household has accumulated sufficient financial resources to cover its living expenses without having to depend on active employment or work to earn money in order to maintain its current lifestyle. Now, check this out. This doesn't mean gaining financial independence should not be confused with having not to work at all. Okay. But, rather, financial independence gives you the freedom to make choices at will, enabling individuals to achieve what matters the most while not having to worry about earning money, meaning you could work or you can choose not to work. So, independence isn't created by following rules of thumb, random one size fits all, like those say, fixes, or even chasing trending financial tips. Instead, developing a custom tailored strategy facilitates wealth creation, and it prepares you for the future. Financial independence is a constant work in progress. It isn't defined by how much money one makes, but more so the freedom you have to live your life without limitations and financial burdens. Now, financial independence begins with understanding best practices to help reshape your thinking. Now, achieving independence requires discipline, patience, and a long-term mindset. So making the first steps toward financial independence is not as difficult as you might imagine it to be. So today we're going to discuss several steps towards getting you to financial independence.
Okay, and the first step, and it's something we've talked about before, but it looks at it from a different direction. Like we've always talked about budgeting. This talks about knowing how your cash is flowing. Again, it's taking it to a deeper level. And you got to understand how your cash is coming in and going out. And that's a step beyond budgeting. And when you think about budgeting, that's usually a weekly or a monthly. Bob always makes the joke about, do it on a napkin. But if you're really serious about becoming financially independent, you'd have a 12-month roadmap that outlines where your money's coming in and where it's going out. It would include all of your savings, all of your investments, all your day-to-day expenses, and all forms of money that are coming into you. And it's a process of assigning your resources to specific priorities that's going to help you reach your goals. And that's a little different than budgeting. And, effective cash flow management, that's about taking all you have and focusing on financial independence and trying to continue to do it. For budgeting, that pretty much says, okay, I got this much, I got to spend it on this, spend it on that, spend it on this. And it's described as being based on scarcity as opposed to being based on abundance. So it's just looking at it from a little different angle, and it's taking the view that it has to be more detailed and more encompassing of everything that's going on in your life.
So, Doug, I just want to piggyback for a minute on what you just said, some of the components that you just actually stated for financial independence. And I just want to show people in a snapshot what we're talking about, because the components of financial independence, like Doug said, is, having income streams or passive income. And passive income, a lot of times it depends, it's like dividends or rental income, even business income, or even royalties. Those, I got royalties for the commercial I did in 1980. They came and found me in 2013, and I got a royalty check. Another big one is savings and investments, major component, emergency fund, which we always talk about, diversified portfolio, and tax advantage accounts, and debt management, knowing good versus bad debt, paying off your debt, and maintaining a healthy credit score is so important when it comes to that debt management. But another very key and important aspect or step into financial independence is that your investment risk. I know you all have heard me and Dope talk about this all the time, and the reason why, because it is so important, because risk tolerance is personal, and it varies from individual to another individual. You can't let anybody, even a financial advisor, tell you what your investment risk is. That is so personal to you, because often I find many people, carry far too much risk for their stated tolerance levels, but they have no way of gauging what risks they're carrying. And I know a lot of people ask, well, how do you gauge your risk? And when I was coming through as an investment advisor, we used the formula of 1 to 5 for the risk chart, with 1 being very low, 2 being low, 3 being medium, 4 being high, and 5 being very high. And I would ask people, where do you feel you fit in that as far as risk tolerance? Because most people don't understand where they are. A lot of people was telling me that they were at low, they said they, very low, but they had houses, Dope. And just you having a house puts you automatically at a 3 at medium risk. So your risks need to be commensurate with your goals. So important for them to align. And it's crucial to know where you fall on the risk spectrum and to work with, and that's why sometimes it's good to work with a professional that, that can help you gauge, where you are, because, there are various risk tolerance tests available that can help people provide insights so that they're comfortable with the level of the different investment types to help to communicate. And you can learn your risk score, by actually engaging in some financial advisors that can help you. So you make sure that your risk is aligned with your goals.
Yeah, the next one we've talked about before, but again, it gives it from a little different angle, and that's learning tax allocation. And I think people underestimate how important managing your taxes can be. And depending on how much money you make, your taxes can be as low as 10% or as high as 40% plus some other little tack on. So knowing how to mitigate that can leave a lot of money in your pocket as opposed to giving it to Uncle Sam. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm deferring my taxes in my 401k," and that's not really a tax strategy. That's just kind of, I'm not paying taxes now, and I'm going to pay them later. So you're basically just delaying when you're going to pay your taxes. So it's not really a tax strategy per se. And so knowing how to allocate assets, again, is something that I think a lot of people don't think about. And where that gets important is if you're going to do something risky, you'd be better off doing it in an account where you can get the tax benefit of long-term capital gains, or you know, or you put it in something tax deferred where you don't pay taxes until later on and you let it grow. So you really have to work and understand where you should put your money to minimize your taxes, not in the short term, but permanently. And I don't think a lot of people look into that to the extent that they need to. And that can save you a lot of money over your lifetime, just by making sure your assets are in an account that minimize your taxes, given that everything's the same. Another example is once you retire and you have a big nest egg in an IRA that eventually you're going to have to take RMDs, and you have some other monies, and you may not want the money that's tax deferred to continue to grow because you got to pay a bill on that at some point, and maybe you want to do your risky stuff outside of that, so you do get advantage of the long-term gains. So again, that's one of those things. And if you're not up on it, this is where a financial advisor, a tax accountant can really come in handy. And you've got to know when you need one, because at some point, thinking, well, I'm saving $200 by not using a tax attorney, but it may be costing you thousands of bucks as far as savings you could have had and planning you could have made and things you could have done to lower your taxes.
Hey, dope. Modestine said that she just sold her condo and she's going to be moving to Lexington, South Carolina. Wow.
Oh, South Carolina or North Carolina?
South Carolina. Yeah.
Okay, I know where Lexington, North Carolina. I gotta figure out where Lexington, South Carolina is.
And Modestine, if you don't mind, how long were you there, and did you make out with your selling your condo? Because, like I said, we assumed that this is a seller's market, and since you experienced it in real time, was it beneficial to you, or did it make a difference? You just trying to move and get out of Dodge. But let us know in the comments. We'd like to know how you did. No, want to talk about this is an interesting one. It's called Understanding Investment Verticals. Now, this relates to portfolio diversification. Okay, now I'm a visual person, and when I describe diversification, I often refer to the stock market as a vertical landscape. For instance, the more public market investments there are acquired, like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, the deeper the portfolio grows. But adding more of the same to your portfolio doesn't mitigate the exposure to risk you're trying to diversify away, because all of those things are sort of have, medium to high risk associated with them. That is where the horizontal allocation comes into view. The horizontal opportunities are outside of the vertical. It's outside of the vertical investments, meaning things like real estate, business, private equity, life insurance, and annuities. And that sort of horizontally spreads the risk, as opposed to building the risk, as they say, vertical, making it go deeper and deeper and deeper, have a greater risk. And they do not share in the same risk that each vertical may expose you to. So effectively diversifying each vertical, right?
Yeah.
Real estate, bonds, and things like that can help you stabilize your risks and your portfolio. Were you going to say something, Dope?
No, I just agree. It just makes so much sense, because if something happens and it affects stocks, bonds, and mutual funds all the same, then you're not very diverse. Even though you might have a diversified stock portfolio, if something can happen that could affect the whole market, and you're going to suffer. But if you have other investments that aren't affected like those, then you'll be ahead of the game.
Yeah, because when it's tall and narrow, saying if it's all in stocks, but you diversified in growth stocks and small cap or growth and income stocks, that's all vertical and narrow, and it becomes top heavy. But adding width, like saying into those other diversified risk investments, add an element of stability. And this strategy is a way to think about your asset allocation. In other words, the old saying, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right. And to that extent, step number 5, and we've touched on this before, is just establishing multiple streams of income. Just figuring out other places to get money. Relying on a single source, that just sounds risky. Even if it's a single investment, it's risky. And you can get fired, that one investment could go down. So most of the financially secure people, they got multiple streams of income coming in, multiple ways to make money. If one thing's not working, something else is working. They might have rental property, they might have royalties, they might have passive income investments, they might consult, they might have part-time jobs. There are all ways to create another stream of income, and there's safety in numbers, that's for sure.
Yeah, Modestine said that Lexington is near Lake Merion. You know what that is?
That's down near Columbia, I believe.
Yes, she said it's outside of Columbia.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
it's outside. And she said she made a nice profit. So it is a seller's market. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Modestine. And you're going to go down there in South Kakalaki.
Now, where's she moving from?
She's moving from up here in Leisure World, that's Silver Spring, if I'm correct. Silver Spring, Modestine.
Oh yeah, her taxes are going to go way down.
Way down, especially being up in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yeah, well, I got one question though. Did what she make in her house up in Maryland, was the housing market in Lexington as aggressive had it grown as much as the market in Maryland? For example, did she get more house for the same money, or about the same house for the same money? I guess I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. Modestine said yes to, and we said a bunch right there. But Modestine, put in your box with Dope was just asking. He was asking, did you get? Say it again, though. Did you get the equivalent? Did you get the
equivalent? Let's say your house cost $50. Did you buy and you bought it for 50 and now it's worth 80? But you go down there, do you have to pay 80 for a house, or can you get a comparable house to the one you had in Maryland for cheaper than the one you left?
Right, because that's been the theory, though. People were saying, if you sell, you have to end up buying a house that's way more, so you ended up going up in cost.
Yeah, I would just have to think that the housing market in South Carolina is way less expensive than houses in Maryland, the DC area. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm just curious now.
Right. Well, I want to talk about this another step, though. Excuse me, y'all. And that's talking about adopt a financial delegation. Adopt financial delegation. Now, as your financial landscape becomes increasingly complex, you'll discover an inverted cost to maintain things on your own. There's usually an element of cost and trust with managing financial decisions in a do-it-yourself fashion. But there comes a tipping point when the perceived savings of doing things on your own becomes an opportunity cost. What do I mean by that? I mean, sometimes when you make a decision to do one thing, you might be giving up the opportunity cost and doing another. And if you wasn't aware of that opportunity cost that you were missing, you might not have made that financial decision. So the complexities involved with wealth management and financial independence require specialized, support sometimes, especially if you're increasing, your asset base. And sometimes, like we always talk about, it's good to delegate, and that means, getting a professional to deal with that, because the cost of professionals can often be um, investments. The cost of these professionals can often be investments into growing your wealth and situation to a new level that wouldn't have been achievable without the help. I mean, it's okay to do it, go and do it alone if you have the information to do it. But like I said, if you don't have the information, you can miss out on an opportunity that definitely could affect your portfolio. The delegating specific financial tasks to professionals like accountants, lawyers, financial planners, insurance agents allows you to focus your time and effort on enjoying the benefits of their help. Now, this division of labor helps ensure that all aspects of your financial life are managed optimally. That's what me and Doug always talk about. We talk about getting the most, optimizing the money that you have, optimizing the return on which you are making. So don't be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yeah, and a good way to sum this whole thing up is just talking about finding your purpose and finding, you know, what you're trying to get to, and that's going to be fulfilling as opposed to just having a big old stack of money, because there's a whole lot of miserable rich people, and certainly you wouldn't want to be you wouldn't want to be one of those. Money does make things easier, and I think everybody would agree to that, and it allows you some privileged experiences, but that doesn't necessarily equate to happiness. And that's another way to look at it is you'll never have enough money. I don't care how much money you get, you'll always want more. I can speak from that firsthand experience. If you look back to when you were 40 years old or 30 years old, and you think, man, if I could have X amount of money, I'd be set. I wouldn't worry no more. But what happens is you get that amount, and then it's okay. What's next? And so thinking we don't want to just say, money, money, money. That's going to make everything all right, because it isn't. And one way to help you decide what's going to give you fulfillment is thinking about what you would do, what you commit your life to if you weren't get paid to do it. And that might give you a hint as to how you can find, fulfillment. Because, creating financial independence, it's just not easy. It ain't a let's just do this and then it'll work. And you can't just be following everybody else and see what they're doing. But you have to be strategic. You have to make good decisions. You got to look at each situation with your cash flow. You got to understand your risk tolerance, know what you're doing tax allocation wise. You got to have that diverse set of investments. And it helps if you have multiple income streams. And then you got to find people to manage all that for you, because the more money you make, the more difficult it becomes. And I think that's what bites a lot of people who become, I'll say, well-to-do for the first time, is that they don't realize that you need to go out and get help. Because again, there's no magic number. It's based on what you know, how much you understand, and then being able to find someone to help you. And so if you can apply these 7 indispensable steps in your financial plan, you put yourself in the best position possible. Not saying it's going to work, because a zillion things could happen that could make it not work. But all you want to do is get in the position to optimize your situation for this crazy, crazy world we live in. And so that's our show for today.
Dope. You cannot underestimate or undervalue when we say optimizing what you have. Okay, there's no number on how much you should optimize it, but the name of the game is do more than what you doing. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Remember, the saying is not what you make, is what you do with what you make. And it's no, we like the show we had talking about savings accounts and moving money around. It's no reason for you to be having a bunch of money in your savings account, getting less than 1%, and the bank is taking all the benefit of using your money and charging other people 7% for a mortgage with your money. You know,
Right.
I mean, even if you just are making $50 more or $100 more on $1,000, that may not sound like a lot, but it adds up, you all. And the more you have, the better it become. Modestine, thanks for sharing with us. Though Modestine said she's downsizing much less by $150,000.
Good for you.
Good for you, Modestine. And if everybody been on here and listen to comments that Modestine has been making, is she's been doing very well, Modestine. It seems like you're managing your money and you're taking advantage of those opportunity costs that I've talked about out there. So yeah, so just make sure you all you actually maximize what you're doing with your money, because I see so many people that got cash sitting at home, and that's that old school keeping it under the pillow, But I just hope you don't smoke in bed. I mean, just that alone put your stuff at risk. So, though, with that, let's go to the summary and takeaways on our show today, because once again, we dropped a lot of knowledge. So I'm gonna start it off though. Match your priorities with your goals, meaning try to identify your highest values, right? That's the key, you all, with prioritizing, your financial goals. First, you need to prioritize what's important to you, and from highest to lowest, and keep an eye out for spending opportunities that are aligned with your long-term goals. The next thing is, if your long-term goal is to be financially independent, spending less and saving more now isn't a chore, but a choice that supports your future plans to take control of your life and your time.
Yeah, number two is understanding your risk tolerance. We just can't emphasize that enough. And you have to be careful because you don't want to be too conservative and not optimize your earnings. You don't want to be too risky where if something goes wrong, you jumping off a building. But you really have to work through, see what you're comfortable with, see what you can afford to risk, and move forward. And that's one of the funny things about investing, and I've talked about this before, the way the system, the US system is set up. If you can take a chance. Well, let me give you an example. If you're sitting on a gain on a stock, you can you're more likely to be able to take a risk, because even if you lose and that stock goes down in value, you can use that loss to offset the gain you're sitting on. So you'd be much more likely to take that risk, and hopefully it's an educated risk with a high probability of succeeding. But again, that's understanding the system, understanding your risk, and trying to optimize your situation.
Yes. The next one is know your tax implications, what Dodie talked about earlier. It's so important, because when you get into retirement, the biggest thing of managing your finances is really tax management, because you got the deferred taxes, you got pre-tax, you got um, tax-free, and you got taxable. And it's very important that you pay attention to each one of those buckets so that you don't end up giving Uncle Sam, more than you have to. What I mean by that, if you wait until the end and then Uncle Sam use your money and then you get the money at the end, That's what I mean. And plus, there's a lot of tax decisions that can cost you if you're not staying on top of your tax situation, especially like Doe said, what they call tax harvesting, where you can just go ahead, you've been holding the stock for so long, just go ahead and take that loss, use it to go against your gain. So pay attention to the taxes.
Okay, next one's pretty much self-explanatory. Creating multiple income streams. That should be everybody's goal. And I think that can lead you to a security in knowing you have different ways to make money. There's nothing better than waking up and not having done anything and you've made money. And so you try to create those for yourself where you have multiple income streams.
And the last one is fulfillment. That is a very powerful, calming word. Achieving financial independence is a lifelong journey that requires discipline, perseverance, and a commitment to continuous learning. Now, ultimately, the journey towards financial independence is not only about achieving a specific monetary goal, but also about cultivating a sense of empowerment and self-reliance that you can have a lasting and it can have a lasting impact on your life. So uh, that's what's so important. That's our take today on financial independence. I hope y'all understand that a lot of times, though, before I leave, uh, people uh, synonymously use financial independence with financial freedom. They kind of mean the same thing, but financial independence is more like, the actual financial side of being able to, cover your bills and feel financially secure and not worry about financial burdens. Financial freedom is being able to do what you want to do, being free to be able to do the things that you want to do. But sometimes they are definitely one and the same. So with that, I want to thank everybody as always for hanging in there with us. Um, Next week we have another full show with some information. I wanted to give out our shout outs to my wonderful and marvelous sister Nolia. Yes, I didn't forget you this week, dearest. Linda and Gloria, my sister, thank you for always being there for me. Joanne Skinner, how you doing? Hope everything's well in your world. And the noteexperience.com. That's Rodney L. Madison Sr. Thank you, Rodney, for hanging in there with us. Wishing you well and the family, grandpa. How many grandchildren you got now? I'm telling you, I know you got quite a few down that line. Modestine, we wish you well. And you're saying you're going to be here till November the 27th. Then you're moving to Lexington, South Carolina. We wish you well and looking forward to you staying on the show coming from Lake Marion. So thank everybody once again for tuning in and look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great rest of the week, you all.